Imagine standing in a room full of people who look exactly like you, talk exactly like you, and laugh at the exact same jokes. It feels safe. But you aren't there because you want to be. You're there because you're terrified of what happens if you leave. Take a guy named Leo. He was a master of social camouflage. If you saw him at a party, he was the guy holding a drink, laughing at a joke he didn't actually find funny, nodding exactly when everyone else nodded. He lived by a simple rule: if nobody notices you, nobody can hurt you. But every night when Leo laid in bed and the silence of the room pressed against his ears, he felt a crushing weight in his chest. He was slowly erasing himself to remain unseen. Most people spend their lives sanding down their own unique textures and muting their colors just to belong. But there is a point where you fit in so perfectly that you effectively cease to exist. This drive isn't a personality flaw, it's a biological imperative. Our ancestors lived in a world where isolation from the tribe meant immediate physical death. On the savannah, being different was a death sentence. Our brains developed a burning fear of rejection to stay alive. Today, that survival circuit still pulses. It reacts to a social snub with the same intensity once reserved for a predator. We no longer fear lions, but we are paralyzed by the threat of social awkwardness. We dread being the only person in the room who thinks differently. Leo was a prisoner of this ancient instinct. By trading his true thoughts for the safety of the group, he was effectively choosing a slow, internal expiration over the risk of being cast out. On a Tuesday night, Leo was at dinner with 3 friends he'd known since college. They were mocking Mark, a former colleague who had recently quit a high-paying tech job to build furniture in a small town. They called it a delusion. Leo looked around at the identical cars in the parking lot and the identical opinions at the table. He finally spoke up, asking if they were all just copies of copies. The laughter stopped instantly. His friend Sarah didn't get angry. She looked at him with a specific kind of pity, asking if he was feeling unstable. This is the unspoken social contract. It's an agreement that states, I will pretend to be someone I'm not, as long as you do the same. The group's comfort depends on everyone maintaining the same facade. By speaking the truth, Leo broke that contract. He became a mirror that forced his friends to look at their own suppressed lives, and that is a sight most people will do anything to avoid. This is how the group maintains its borders. It doesn't always use aggression. Sometimes it uses the mask of concern to pull you back into the line. Over the following weeks, the invitations stopped. Replies became short and clinical. Leo had signaled that he was no longer part of the we, and the group responded by closing its doors. Leo realized that when you stop fitting in, you don't just lose your friends, you lose the curated identity you've been wearing for years. Without the group to tell him who he was, he had to start from scratch. The silence was heavy at first, but in that emptiness, he finally started to hear his own voice. He began taking long walks at night, watching the blue flicker of televisions in identical living rooms, seeing the patterns he once belonged to. He picked up a camera. He didn't take the polished, filtered photos meant for social media. He captured the raw, uncomfortable parts of the city, the bus stops at 3 a.m. and the tired faces of the night shift. He was finally looking instead of just nodding. He realized that fitting in was a way to avoid the responsibility of being himself. As long as he was part of the crowd, he never had to take the blame for his own life. Leo eventually entered a local gallery competition. While others submitted bright landscapes and smiling faces, his series showed people in crowded elevators, all looking at their phones, physically touching but miles apart. At the opening, a woman stood in front of a photo of a man on a subway for 5 minutes, then began to cry quietly. By refusing to hide his own sense of isolation, Leo had connected with a stranger more honestly than he ever had with his friends. His old friend Jason eventually showed up, not to look at the art, but to tell Leo he was just faking a dark persona to feel superior to everyone else. Leo looked at him and realized the truth. "We were all faking it, Jason," he said. "I just stopped." Society acts as a machine designed to produce the average. It wants predictable consumers and quiet employees. It offers comfort as a reward, but the price is your individual uniqueness. When you refuse to fit in, you become a glitch in that machine. You become a reminder of the personal truths that everyone else has agreed to ignore. A year later, a letter arrived from Sarah. She admitted that Leo's photos had made her feel sick because they reminded her that she hadn't felt anything real in a decade. She was quitting her job. She didn't have a plan, but she knew she couldn't continue the act. She thanked him for being the problem that woke her up. When you have the courage to be an outsider, you create a fracture in the wall. Others see the light coming through that crack, and they begin to wonder if they belong on the other side too. Who are you when the crowd isn't there to guide you? Are you the charcoal suit, or are you the person waiting to get out? The problem isn't that you don't fit in. The problem is the energy you're wasting trying to. Is the safety of the tribe worth the slow erasure of who you are? Or are you finally ready to be the problem?